What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Earn It, Save It, Invest It. This video is going to be about if you should be buying or looking into buying HIMS stock. Now, I got to go pick up my kids from school really quick, so this is going to be a quick video, but I'm going to break down really quick and summarize what's going on with HIMS. They just released their earnings, so I'm going to give a quick overview of what you should expect in 2026 for the business and the stock. So let's get into it. I do not want to be late. I could be a little bit late, but not too much, like 2 minutes. All right, now let's go. So should you be buying HIMS stock? Now, obviously on one side you have the regulatory risk and the lawsuit from NOVO, and then of course on the other side you have the growth and the money, right? So we're going to kind of go over that really quick. Here we go. All right, so on February 21st, 2025, the FDA resolved the shortage, right, of the GLP-1, the semaglutide. So it limits their ability to use the 503B outsourcing facilities. So they have 503A and 503B. 503A is for individual patients who have prescriptions. 503B is bulk orders for like hospitals and, you know, big bulky orders. So now they can't use 503B because the shortage got lifted. But in particular, we currently only use 503A compounding pharmacies for the fulfillment and dispensing of compounded GLP-1 products. So they're essentially saying, we're following the law. So they are following the law. Now, while we continue to offer access to certain GLP-1s consistent with the statutory exemptions from the new drug approval requirements, they cannot guarantee they'll be able to continue offering it because of intellectual property and regulatory matters, right? So, furthermore, 2024 manufacturers FDA GLP-1 products requested that FDA, so basically NOVO, requested that FDA add the semaglutide and tirzepatide to its demonstrable difficulties for compounding list. Basically, it's so difficult to compound, it's unsafe. The FDA has never finalized this compounding list for any drug product, right? So if the FDA were to do that, then yes, they can't compound it, but they've never done it before. So NOVO, what they're trying to do is, you know, a little unprecedented. And again, we currently only use 503A compounding pharmacies for the fulfillment and dispensing of compounded GLP-1 products. Now, while we believe the compounded drug products available through our platform meet the applicable requirements for the exemption under the FDCA, if they were to determine that such products do not meet the requirements, of course, blah, 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 they can't do it anymore. But what they're doing, it's by the law, right? Now, one of the biggest reasons is this woman, Deb Otter. She serves as HIMS and Hers Chief Policy Officer, and she assumed it in November 2025. She's the chair of the board of the FDA Alumni Association. Let me zoom in on this, sorry. Look at this. She serves as the Chief Policy Officer, and she's the chair board of the FDA Alumni Association. Miss Otter was a senior, let me try to get it a little bit better. There we go. All right. There we go. Miss Otter was a senior leader at the FDA from 2001 to 2013. So for 13 years, she was the senior leader where she oversaw all FDA inspections, criminal investigations, and international operations. Before that, Ms. Otter served as director of the Office of Compliance, the Center of Drug Evaluation and Research, leading enforcement and policymaking for compliance with requirements relating to drug approval, current good manufacturing practices, human subject protection, bioresearch monitoring, pharmacy compounding, import and export, and recalls, among others. Before joining the FDA, Ms. Otter was a trial attorney in the Office of Consumer Litigation of the U.S. Department of Justice, where she litigated civil and criminal cases on behalf of the FDA. I trust this woman. I would trust her, right? So, if she says they're doing stuff legal, then I'm trusting it. This is their key financial highlights, right, of what they just announced for their earnings, right? In 2025, they did $2.35 billion, which was 59% year over year. The net income was only up 2%. They've done a lot of spending on the facilities and stuff like that, so they've done a lot of investing. Their adjusted EBITDA was up 80%. to 318 million. Operating cash flow up 20%. Free cash flow down 71% because they're using a lot of that cash again to invest. Subscribers went up 13% to 2.5 million, and the average monthly subscriber is $83, right? Average revenue per subscriber is $83 per month, right? And if you add that up, if you do 90 times 2.5 million, right? So if they get the average subscribers to 90 million or to $90 a month, I can just do this actually really quick, right? Let me put it up. $90, right? Times 2.5 million, right? That's how much they're making per month times 12. So they're making that 2.7 billion, right? 2.7. And then their goal, oh, I'm actually going to show that. I haven't gone over the goals yet, right? But yeah, so they're going to be beating that next year. For the share of observed total customers, right? So this is basically their share of the market, right? Their market share. They're taking up about 50% of the market out there right now, right? Somewhere around there. So they're dominant in the market. Subscribers have gone up tremendously, like, they're up to 2.5 million. And again, the average revenue per subscriber went from 65 to 83. That is a big jump. So making it $90 is not that big of a reach. 90 times 2.5 million is 2.7 billion, which is what they estimated for next year. And so they still stuck, it says, moving us another step closer to our 2030 targets of more than 6.5 billion in revenue and 1.3 billion in adjusted EBITDA. So again, they're still sticking to their 2030 targets. There's no mention of NOVO being a big risk or anything. Obviously there is a risk, but they think that they're doing stuff legally, right? And again, with Deb Otter at the leading the way, I believe that it is. So HIMS and HERS issued their 2026 guidance. Again, 2.7 billion to 2.9 billion, right? Which represents about 15 to 24% increase. So again, 2.7 billion, I think, is absolutely reachable. They're probably going to get closer to the 2.9 billion. That's just my opinion. Adjusted EBITDA between 300 million to 375 million with an expected margin of 11 to 13%, and the international growth of 200 million in revenue contributions from international markets, excluding potential gains from the eucalyptus acquisition that's in process. And then we have to keep these things in mind. Key strategic assumptions, the regulatory status, right? The guidance assumes ongoing ability to provide GLP-1, right, through the FDA and DOJ, as long as that they don't, slap them with, hey, you can't do it anymore. Acquisitions, the outlook excludes contributions from eucalyptus, which we just said, which could add roughly 200 million in the second half if it's finalized as planned. And then new verticals, growth is expected to be supported by the scaling of newer specialties such as low testosterone, menopausal support, and labs. So again, they've been investing a lot. They've been buying all these other companies and different, they've been investing a lot, right? Facilities and different companies and new technologies. So right now, as you can see, it's somewhat of a growth company, right? The revenue growth rates are of a growth company. The net income is not, obviously, but they are profitable and they're investing into their future. Their PE is only at 30. This is, again, we're talking February 27th, and then the short interest is at 35% basically. So a lot of people do not believe in this stock, right? So as you can see, the stock price has gone down 75% in 134 days and only 0% in 5. So you haven't done nothing. 5 years, it's gone nowhere. You've lost money if you invested anywhere after basically in 2025. You've definitely lost money, and you've made a little bit of money down here, right? But really, this stock it's plummeted from all these regulatory issues, the NOVO, all of that. That's really been hurting it. And again, it was at, when it was way up here, I sold some because I knew it was a little bit too much. It was a little bit too much. We needed some answers. I just did not think it was going to crash this much, so I have purchased a little bit more. Please give a like and subscribe. I've purchased a little bit more, but not too much, because, you know, again, we still want to see what's happening with the regulatory issues. But we're talking, you know, the stock is now at 14, in the mid 14s, right? So 14, 15 range, like, that is just a little bit above the IPO. It was from a SPAC, which usually starts at like 10, right? And then they announce, okay, which company is going to be in it. So that's why it starts right here around 10, right? 9, 10, and then they announce it, and it kind of goes up and down. And so it launched up all the way to 24, then it went all the way to 3, right? And then it kind of continued to move up from there. And so, you know, people bought this stock at $3 and saw it go into the 60s, made 20x their money, and now they're only seeing 5x, right? So I hope some of them took some profits. I took a little bit of my profits, but now I'm starting to put a little bit in there because I do see this as attractive value, but you have to keep the risks in mind. They're going to be going to court against NOVO. NOVO's going to fight big, but I don't know exactly how big they're going to be fighting HIMS, how much money and how much pressure they're really going to put on it. If they have Deb Otter leading the way, I just don't see HIMS losing if they're going to be doing the right things, right? And you're not going to hire Deb Otter if you're doing something wrong. So that's just my 2 cents, and I'm giving my money, my dollars, whatever, right? Thanks for watching. Again, if you're aware and prepared of the market, you're never scared, so you can always buy the dip and never trip, and never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on compounded interest.